Veteran broadcaster and Al Jazeera presenter Sir David Frost has died at 74. He suffered a suspected heart attack on the Queen Elizabeth ship. Sir David's career spanned journalism, comedy writing, television presenting, including the Frost interview here on Al Jazeera. He's also known for a series of interviews with former US President Richard Nixon. Well, joining me on the line from Sussex in the United Kingdom is the executive producer of the Frost show, Richard Brock. Richard, a unique interviewing style. I think that's a good way of describing Sir David Frost's way of talking to people.
Yes, he had great courtesy. He was a very polite broadcaster, and he used to embroil his guests in conversations. When necessary, he could be tough, but more than anything, he wanted to extract as much information as he could without necessarily turning the screw or turning nasty. He was a very, very courteous and a polite man, both on and off screen.
He also had a light touch, didn't he, Richard? I mean, as well as doing the serious interviews, he could do something sort of almost comic, like Through the Keyhole.
Yes, well, this all went part of what David was. He had a great sense of humour, and he used to constantly laugh and joke off screen and occasionally on screen. I mean, he was a terrific guy, and his sense of humour shone through everything he did. And he really enjoyed some of the lighter stuff. It wasn't all heavyweight political interviews. He really got a kick out of some of the lighter stuff.
He certainly did. I mean, I've worked with him 3 times. First at Sky News. We launched Sky News together in 1989, and later at TVAM, and now at Al Jazeera. And unfailingly polite, as you say, Richard. But as well as the light material, he did these series of interviews with Richard Nixon that really made his name globally.
That's right. They were a series of interviews which I think lasted something like 24 or 25 hours pre-editing. And these were the interviews that, as you say, made him a global and international figure. And he turned the president round from being a very stubborn, unwilling guest, not willing to give any information, and he eventually turned it to the end of the interview and got the crucial information about Watergate. And of course that the world listened to, and this suddenly David Frost was a global figure because of the Frost-Nixon interviews. And
those interviews went on to become a stage play and then a major feature film.
Yes, and David loved it. David actually sat in on the edit for part of the film, and he really enjoyed it. There were a couple of things he said got wrong. He didn't like the bit about the money changing hands, but generally he was a great fan of the film, and he believed that it was a good indication of what actually happened in those famous interviews. Representation,
yeah, indeed, Richard. Well, thank you for that. And also, of course, he invested and paid for the first ones, I remember him telling me that. Anyway, Richard Brock, sad news today. Veteran broadcaster Sir David Frost dying at the age of 74.